Let's go to the phones where we have another quarantine case. This one, again, from the quarantine files. We're going to talk with James here, whose wife is currently in a government of Guam quarantine facility. So thanks for joining us, James. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Let's just start at the beginning. Can you tell us where your wife traveled from, her situation? Was there a COVID-19 test that she had taken prior to coming into Guam? Just give us all the deets.
Yeah, she had just came in from Japan. She had taken 2 tests. She took one 4 days ago, and we double checked and made sure that it'll be something accepted here on Guam.
Mm-hmm.
And then she went ahead and took one the day prior to flying in. Expecting to just get right through the airport. And she's a doctor over there, so everything there has been certified and all of this. There's no... I don't know what the issue was when she actually got in here, but they detained her. And they told her that they wouldn't accept that kind of a test. So we tried to talk to anybody who was in charge, and there was a lady named Vicky from the CDC that's working here on Guam from Hawaii. She told us, go ahead and go to this hotel for tonight, and tomorrow we'll come and we'll check your paperwork and we'll clear you, or we'll give you another test. Well, nobody's came to give her another test, and it's been 3 days now. They basically are holding her hostage. I don't know what the legality of this is, but we are looking into some kind of a law action, some kind of a lawsuit. I mean, they can't be doing this to people. It just seems like a money grab. Everybody's frustrated about this lockdown. They're locking people up for 2 weeks. She's only here for a week. They're locking her up for 2 weeks. I guess when her return ticket is, they'll go ahead and take her back to the airport. And it makes no sense that they're gonna be putting these people in there for 2 weeks, and instead of giving them a test at the airport. The government of Guam must have so much money to burn that they could afford the people of Guam to pay 2 weeks for all these strangers to fly in, get locked up. That's basically kidnapping in my eyes. You take these people away from whatever they were supposed to be doing or what they wanted to do. She can't self-quarantine, which is another thing that's we can't understand why she can't self-quarantine. But I don't know if you guys know that around the island they're setting up these testing stations, hoping that residents will go and get tested so they can see the results. Hardly anybody's ever even going there. Those nurses at the airport, I have no idea what their job is. They're getting paid double time to check your temperature as you walk in. It's like this whole thing has just seemed like nothing but a big money grab. Makes no sense whatsoever. Even in the newspaper, it said the governor had extended this lockdown, this last one that we're in currently, so she could have more time to use the federal funds. Meanwhile, we're all struggling over here to, live our lives. Nobody's getting the aid that they need. I don't know what's up with this administration. It's a freaking circus going on here. I don't know what else to say except for we've been talking to all these officials that would actually answer the phone, and all they could say is, "Let me get back to you." They got to go talk to the supervisor. Nobody's ever getting back to me. Nobody's ever getting back to my wife. So she's just sitting there, counting the minutes, the hours, and now days. They can't go and give her a simple test. I don't understand what that's all about.
Is there anybody from public health at the quarantine facility where she's being held?
Yes, and I don't know why they're even there. I've been talking to them. I got to call the hotline so then they can call the staff that's at the hotel from public health. And then they finally call me back, and it's the same thing. They just say, I gotta check in with that. I gotta find the answer for that. I gotta check my supervisor. So it literally took them 2.5 days to answer a question I didn't ask them. So she cannot self-quarantine at home because she's not a resident. But the question I had originally asked them was, why are they not giving her the test there? She got 2 test results. They both came back negative. For some reason, they only accept half of the doctor's recommendation of a different test. There's only 2 tests.
Right.
And apparently Japan only has one, and Guam only accepts another. So the people at the hotel, public health, I guarantee you, they're collecting double pay, this hazard pay, this whatever pay, and they're doing absolutely nothing. You know, meanwhile, you got actual first responders out there, you know, like you got police officers that's got to guide these people. You got all of these people that's been promised money for working in this hazardous condition, and now they're trying to gyp them. You know, went from like 25% to like 10%, and now some of these police officers are not even getting 10%. It's ridiculous. But you got these nurses at the hospital, you got these nurses and these CDC officials standing by at the airport making all these calls, not doing nothing. They're literally just standing there taking your temperature. The people at the store can stand there and take your temperature. It doesn't take any rocket scientist to read the temperature from this thermal gun. So why are we spending all this money and resources paying these qualified nurses that could be at the hospital actually helping patients? We're paying them double time or whatever it is that they're actually going to get. All of this extra money to stand there and just kidnap people.
James, so your wife, doctor in Japan, in case you guys are just joining us, she had 2 tests, both red negative. Unfortunately, they weren't the kind of tests that public health is accept. How come nobody has the kind of tests that public health is accepting?
Mm-hmm.
All right, how many people have we talked to who are in quarantine who come to Guam who have the negative test result, and then it's like, oh no, we're not accepting that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but what kind of test was it? Because I know I've seen it and they kind of changed it. So it's like a specimen or something like that you're supposed to have. Like, what?
There's 2 tests that they got, and the ones that they do over here in Guam is a nasal swab, I guess.
Yeah, the PCR.
And then the other one is a blood test,
The
which
serology.
I would assume would take higher priority because they're testing your DNA and your blood. You know, how many of these tests from the cotton swab, and I know personally some people, they tested negative, and 2 days later they tested positive. You know, they tested negative on the first test. They got sick 2 days later. They got tested again, and then they were positive. So if the nasal swab is so unreliable, how are they denying a blood test? Maybe, in my eyes, maybe it's because the cotton swab test, one of the parties is getting a hookup, a kickback for each test you take on the cotton swab.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And then another party is bringing in the Q-tips.
Yeah, another party's bringing in the Q-tips from China, where we're probably administering this fucking disease.
Oh.
All right, sorry.
Hey, so what, James, your wife came in, you said she was only going to stay for a week. What kind of plans did you guys have?
Okay, so I've been here for, since March 6th, for over 2 months now. Once I started hearing about this lockdown, I flew me and my kids over here to Guam to be safe. You know, not knowing, about the governor talking about, what is it, GVB videos that was circulating around, inviting everybody over here because it's COVID-free. So anyway, I came over here just because it's safer and this is home. And if the stores close down in Japan, you can't just go out and pick mangoes and do this and that. So my kids have been here since March 6th, locked down since whenever the lockdown started, a week later. And school's starting back in Japan. It already started last week. So the goal was she was going to fly down here. She was going to pick up the kids, take them back. And that's another thing that just doesn't make any sense about this this circus, is they can't see her, she can't see them, but when she's leaving, we can all meet up at the airport, which is, I don't know if you guys have any any thoughts on that or any ideas of how that works, like now that she's leaving, we can all meet up at the airport. So she's locked up because she's probably sick, is what they're saying, right?
Right.
To be safe. But then when she's leaving, if she was sick and she is leaving, now we can go ahead and meet her at the airport, and she can fly with the kids, and I can go ahead and just contract this sickness and pass it on to my relatives here on Guam. Right? Nobody's testing. Like, it makes no sense that you're going to hold people for 2 weeks and you won't test them. Meanwhile, you got nurses and doctors out here at all these different test stations not getting any people to, nobody wants to get tested by these guys. It's just like a whole waste of time. So she was just here to pick up the kids. She can't do that. Now she's got an Airbnb that she's paying for. She can't use it. Nobody's going to reimburse her for that. Guam doesn't care, obviously. We've seen the whole circus act. This has been a joke this whole time.
Just going back, sir, you said that you and your wife were told that, hey, just go. It almost seems a little tricky. The way they're saying, oh yeah, just go into quarantine, and then we'll test you in the morning. Because we've heard from 3 other people that they were told the same thing, and guess what? Once you check in, you can never leave, like the song goes. Well, you can leave when they let you leave, but I mean, anybody who's flying into Guam, don't fall for that. Don't fall for the, hey, yeah, just go in, boy, and we'll test you in the morning. Right on. Don't fall for that, because we keep hearing from people that that's not what is happening, and it didn't happen with you, right?
Yeah, it didn't happen with us.
What has your wife said about the quarantine, the condition of the quarantine facilities?
Which one is she at?
Well, first of all, it seems like they're just singling out people from Japan. I guess because of ignorance. They're trying to treat it like it's also Korea, like it's also China, where the numbers are really high and people are easy to get these like fake papers. But from the beginning, she said it was like they treated her just like a prisoner. They rush you into these buses like cattle, and then as soon as you're all locked up in these buses, these military people with no weapons. It's another joke, right? They're guarding you with no weapons. I don't know if that's just for legality purposes, because of martial law we're not in effect or what. But they just start, hey, shut up, listen up, everybody. And then they start giving you the rules. Breakfast is going to be at 6 a.m. Lunch is going to be at this time. You will not leave your place. If you leave, I don't know if anybody listening has ever been to boot camp, where they're talking about like where we get on the cattle buses, they pick you up from the airport, you all meet up, and then you're about to go to your basic training station, and all the military sergeants are freaking yelling at you, telling you blah, 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 blah. That's basically what she explained. Was her...
Does she have video of this?
I'm not too sure if she has video of it, but, there's got to be, out of the tons of people that's been flying in here, because since day one, I've been watching these planes fly into Guam. Nobody could leave, so I don't know why these planes are coming in here, But from day one, I've been watching all of these planes come in. That's every single day. There's been multiple planes coming in. You're talking Continental. You're talking like all the standard airlines, that always fly in here. So out of all of these people, somebody's got to have a video.
Yeah.
Send us your video, everybody. If you got video, send it. I get videos, but mostly it's from the first round of the quarantine. And then we were able to talk with Kirsten, who also was provided some video. But yeah, that sounds like some good video. But man, James, if that's me and you got, some dude from the guard who's like, fall out, old 600 Reveille, I don't know if I'm going to want to take out my phone and film, because the impression that I'm getting from what you're saying is it's intimidating. And
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, we've heard that from old girl Kirsten, that they were kind of vindictive when she was, making a lot of noise about it. The way she was being treated got worse with the more noise that she made. Has your wife made noise, or is she just calling you and letting you know? Has she tried to discuss with any of the officials there her situation?
Well, she has been trying to contact the Department of Health workers that are downstairs in the lobby, and it's a crazy thing because there's no actual direct number to them. She has to call the front desk, and the front desk has to relay the message, and then she just has to wait for anybody to like respond back to her. You know, so
Yeah.
she's been calling. She's been wondering, like, what, you know, common sense would say, if you really care about the people and you really care about the people's money, you would use a test on them and then wait whatever the time period is, you know, 1 day or 2 days. You know, the taxpayer would only pay to have my wife in there for 2 days, and then if she's cleared, she'll be out. If she's not, then obviously quarantine and ship her back out, you know. But none of this had happened. Nobody has any idea about this test, is what they're telling her. So I'm calling as well, and apparently we're just going through the same 3 people.
Right.
They're just bouncing the phone calls back. Hey, Parge, your turn. Take this one. Hey, it's James again. Hey, keep messing with him.
How do you block his number?
Yeah, how do you? They're not even trying to block it. They just don't even answer it.
James, let me ask you, because we had a comment here talking about the inconsistencies, and since you've been here since March, I'm pretty sure you followed the media reports about the director of GITA getting a free pass out of quarantine. You know, and we've seen, so in the example of the director of GITA, there was a death in the family. She was allowed to totally bypass quarantine. They didn't tell her, hey, yeah, just go in and check in, and then in the morning we'll let you out. She totally bypassed the quarantine. We interviewed a woman whose son and the husband were here because a similar death in the family. Guess what? Yeah, they got told, hey, yeah, go in the hotel and we'll sort it out, and didn't really happen for them. So it's like a tale of 2 quarantines. And then you have the former chief of staff, Tony Babauta, who was able to spend the night, have a little sleepover at the Pacific Star, and then in the morning, and they said he slept over because he wasn't feeling well, which is clear. I think that was all a lie, honestly. They said he wasn't feeling well. He woke up the next day and he was able to leave without being tested. So that's what really is frustrating for me, is we have shown that if you're in, there's one set of rules that apply to you, and if you're everybody else,
if you're in,
well,
you get to get out.
I'm gonna write that down. If you're in, you get to get out. But how does that make you feel, man, to know that if you're in, you're
or
connected?
If you're in, you're out. If you're out, you're in.
Right.
That's exactly what I asked the public health officials. Is like, do we have to call Auntie Lou to let us out? You know, what's the actual protocol? What's the reason you're holding her? You know, they cannot even give an answer of that. You know, so yeah, it's very frustrating to know that if you're connected, you know, politically, you can just waltz right through, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then if you're everybody else, if you're the common people that probably even voted for them, you know, your vote doesn't matter now because they're in. You can just go ahead and get, you know, put over here to this farce, this circus act. Like I said from the beginning, I think it's just a big money grab. Hey, Par, I'm gonna use your hotel, right? Yeah, sure. Just throw me a little kickback. Let's charge the people of Guam more than normal rates, because the hotel rates right now is pretty high. I don't know if you guys seen how much it costs to run one of these quarantine stations for 2 weeks. What is it, $500,000?
In one case, it was. You're right. It was $544,000.
Yeah, that's big money.
Yeah.
And where do they think this money is going to come from? Like, are they just using all of this federal money and they're just like burning up as much as they can? They're living the good life. Meanwhile, every one of us got to freaking suffer here. You know, not necessarily every single one, because we're fortunate enough that my family's got a ranch. You know, so we've got fruits and vegetables. We got stuff to do. We got a big yard to play in. You know, we're not feeling cooped up. But I got relatives, and I'm sure a lot of people out there's got relatives, and some of the listeners are living in apartments. You know, so we're having to live totally different lives. So I'm not as affected as some other people, and these other people here trying to pay their bills. They can't get their money from the governor because they're too busy giving their pari deals. You know, hey, money, car, all right, charge them this on the hotel. We'll keep them there. I'll bring in all the people. I'll bring all the guests. We'll fill up your hotel. They're filling up these hotels now. You know, one thing that really upsets me when you look at it, nobody's really asking the questions that really need to be asked. Who is checking these pilots and the crew staff from these airlines? I know for a fact that they're getting picked up. They're getting escorted over to the outrigger. They're living their life like it's normal, and then they just leave and fly again. How do we know that these guys are not sick? Who is testing them, and why are they not getting quarantined for 2 weeks? It makes no sense to me that the flight crew can keep coming in. All these big businesses like Continental and, you know, whatever else can fly in whenever they want, make their profits, fly out whenever they want, make more profits. Meanwhile, we're all locked up. The residents of Guam are locked up. All these foreigners coming in that are pilots and crew staff, you know, airline flight attendants, they're just coming in and going out. Who's testing these guys? Nobody talks about that. Like, they just come in and they just leave whenever they want. I bet you if they started quarantining these flight attendants and these captains, that the planes would actually stop coming in, and the number of COVID cases would have dropped a long time ago, which means we would have been out of this crisis, this circus, you know, this pandemic, you know, a long time ago. But it's crazy that it's only a one-way street for some people. You just go straight to lockup. They just lie to you to get you there. I don't know. Has nobody actually checked the legality of this kidnapping or this hostage situation? Because that's basically what it is.
Well, let us know. I mean, you said you're thinking about maybe doing some legal action, James. You got my number. I really want to keep us in the loop.
Real quickly, though, before we let you go, how old are your children?
8, and the other one just turned 5 2 days ago.
Wow, and they haven't had a hug from their mom in 3 months?
Nope, yeah, they haven't had them. Yeah, they haven't.
Man, James, so I'm pretty sure that the kids, were you guys all at the airport when the wife came in?
Yeah, and for the last couple of days, we've been, you know, like clowns, we've been circling town thinking that she's going to get this test soon, and we're going to get the results, and I can just pop right in, and, you know, and then it'll all be good. But, no, it hasn't. So today we're just trying to stay here instead of circling around in town, because we know nothing's going to happen down there with these public health officials. You know, none of their numbers are really working for the higher-ups. So they're all making their money. They're all making their double time, but they ain't actually doing any work. So explain that to me.
All right. James, man, I appreciate you getting your side of the story out here, and we're going to make some phone calls and find out, why aren't people in quarantine being tested? You're right. I mean, we've had a bunch of calls like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just common sense, and I guess this I don't even know what you would call this circus act of a government cabinet, you know. I don't know why they don't got common sense to just test people at the airport. If you're going to allow people to fly in, you should be testing there. I don't know why they have the nurses there if they're not going to test there.
Good point, James, and appreciate it, man. And I'll shoot you a message later today.
All right, Chris.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Wash your hands, man.
Yeah, every day.
Okay.
Good luck.
All right. Well. Another one from the quarantine files. We never hear a happy story from the quarantine. I'm waiting because I heard there were happy stories in the quarantine and people were grateful
to be in quarantine.
That's what I heard from some people. The quarantine angels, or the quarantine shepherds, or what were they? Soldiers. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, but I haven't heard that yet. If you had a great time in quarantine and you just want to say thank you, give us a call, 637-0094. You gonna hold your breath while we wait for that call?
There might be a
there might
good
be,
story
yeah.
out
You
there.
never know. Yeah.
And yeah, we're serious about it. If
Yeah,
you had a
we are.
wonderful, great experience,
Best 2 weeks ever.
637-0094. We want to hear from you.
Made friends with this really cool cockroach that was in my room. The conversation was choice. All right, it's 8:42. We're gonna take a little break and come back with more containing COVID next on Guam's Favorite. Good morning.
is an institution that has been a part of our lives.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you